you're like me, you're looking at that cap situation for the Cowboys and you're like, you know, it's not good, but they can get out of it. This isn't something like a Saints level of, oh my God, you're this far into the hole, what are you going to do? This is something that you could fix. And so I'm going to talk about the ways the Cowboys can get out of this salary cap situation. They're at number one. But number two, talk about possible cap casualties, because we're getting into that time of year where you're going to end up having guys that will be on the chopping block for certain reasons that, whether you agree with it or not, is going to be something that the Cowboys will be looking at. So before we get into that, if you guys can do me a favor and like the video, it doesn't take too long to do. Helps the channel out a lot in YouTube's algorithm. On top of that, subscribe if you have not done so. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so by subbing, it would be greatly appreciated. And I'm also going to eat 2 of the world's hottest chips on the Star Gang podcast live if I hit that goal. So if you help me get that, then you're going to see me in eternal pain. And then finally, if you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell. It's important that people ask you to do that because YouTube can sometimes be a pain when you get the content. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at this salary cap situation by the Dallas Cowboys. So as we take a look here, you can see with overthecap.com, the Cowboys are $21.1 million in the red. Now, there are ways that the Cowboys can get out of this, and we'll transition to a different site that does that mathematical, stuff for me. But it's important to realize that there are guys on this roster that will be looked at as possible cuts for the Cowboys. So, you look at guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith as your top go-getters in terms of money. But now it's kind of like, okay, well, what if you were to cut these guys, where they're at currently in the contract? So you look at guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, you're not saving money if you cut him now. Amari Cooper, you can save money if you cut him now. Dak Prescott, do I need to go any further? And you have a couple other guys that you're not really going to be saving a lot of money. Maybe Anthony Brown as well could be a cap casualty, and we'll talk about that when we get to the other sites in terms of moving this thing around. When you look at the post-June cuts, now this is obviously something that they might have to do, but when you get to the post-June cuts, it kind of opens up opportunities for the Cowboys to move things around a lot more. So, that's kind of more so for the future, but what can they do in the now to prepare for free agency? So let's go ahead and let's transition to the other sites. I think it's Spot Rack, or however you pronounce it, because we're going to take a look at what the Cowboys can do to really get themselves back on track. Now here we are over on this website that I like to use in Spot Rack. Again, however they call it, it's stupid. But it gives you a kind of a generalization of what kind of moves the Cowboys can make to get this thing under control. So they say that we're under $25 million, but really I think with the adjustment it's going to be $21 million. So the first move is, okay, how do we get there? Amari Cooper is the first guy I'm looking at, and the Cowboys need to kind of figure out what do they want to do. If they trade him, you're saving $16 million. If you restructure him, you're saving about $12 million, depending on if it's like a full restructure. So let's say the Cowboys restructure him, and they get that $12 million savings. So you're already halfway there to, saving you some money. Now, the next thing you could do is, if you're going to keep the quarterback, restructure his contract. Now you only have to make one more additional move, and you are over the salary cap, but barely. So you could restructure another contract, but for me, I think that the move could be cutting Anthony Brown. Not saying that that's the correct move to do, but it's more so that when you have guys like, you look at the Jordan Lewis contract, right? And if you were to cut Jordan Lewis, that's only saving you $2 million. And I think that, when you go back and you look, who you would want to cut, Kelvin Joseph came in here to be that Anthony Brown replacement type of guy, and I think that's probably the move, honest to God. I think that you could end up seeing Anthony Brown gone as a cap casualty. Now, other people mentioned Tyron Smith and the offensive lineman. You're not going to do anything like that unless you really need to get rid of them. And I think that one of those moves would be in, after June 1st, but I wouldn't be touching these other contracts. I'm not restructuring Ezekiel Elliott because, I don't think you restructure the running back contract. The ones that I kind of hone in on are your quarterback and other guys that are going to be on your team. So what if you look at Blake Jarwin, if you restructure him, you're not saving a whole lot of money, but you would save $3 million if you were to cut him. Do you cut Blake Jarwin, make this cap space, and make a run at re-signing Dalton Schultz? I don't think you should do that because you can get other guys in the draft that I like and might have a higher ceiling than Dalton Schultz. But if you want to get really freaky with it, you could restructure Zach Martin and save another $7 million. You could restructure Blake Jarwin and save another, $1 million, even though that wouldn't do anything. If you really are like, all right, whatever, we want to keep DeMarcus Lawrence, you could restructure DeMarcus Lawrence and save $8 million. But my point being is that you look at these numbers, and again, I want to stress this, not saying that these would be fully accurate on how much money they would save, but you get a gist of what moves the Cowboys can make. And those cap casualties that I'm keeping a radar on are Amari Cooper. I'm going to even throw in Greg Zuerlein because I don't know if he'll be there. If you cut Greg Zuerlein, you save $2 million, and he's probably a cap casualty, even though you should cut him for other reasons. And you save that money there. I talked about Anthony Brown being a cap casualty, but a lot of these other guys, you have a lot of young players on your team. It's really top heavy when it comes to those high money making guys. But I wouldn't touch the DeMarcus Lawrence contract because you can cut him post June 1st and save some money there. Does he deserve to be cut? I think that as his price tag, with the $27 million cap hit and how this Cowboys defense played in 2021 under Dan Quinn, DeMarcus Lawrence looks more and more expendable, but that doesn't mean he's a terrible player. But overall, I would say that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, these are some of the moves that you could make to get your team in position to make some moves in free agency. Now, as for those names, I'm not going to go over that. The reason I don't go over free agency names, primarily due to the fact we don't know who's going to be available. I kind of look at, about maybe like a couple weeks beforehand. But right now is not the time. We'll see how the movement goes once all the coaching offers have been solidified and we're good there. But the Cowboys can get out of this, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't hard to do that. And then we'll talk about, we got to talk about these other free agents that we have. I know I already talked about that. But again, can you re-sign some of your guys with this money? Yeah, you definitely could. I think you can make a couple moves to bring some of these guys back. But, it's just tough when you look at the situation. And I don't want to keep going on and on and on. But, again, if I'm Dallas, I already touched on the needs, what this team has to do, what they got to do. But, you could play around with this for yourselves. It's on spotrac.com. You can go to the little the manage roster tool, and it will go through all the moves you can make, even add players on here. But this could be another year where the Cowboys just don't do anything. But this team doesn't need a massive influx of free agents, and for me, they just need the right free agents, and they shouldn't be afraid to spend money to get those right free agents. You have plenty of guys out there, unless they get re-signed, to put into this team and keep things rolling. But that pretty much sums it up, ladies and gentlemen. So before I go and you click off this video, if you can like the video, subscribe if you are new, and hit the notification bell. That would be awesome. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye-bye.